So some interesting stuff was happening over the weekend, and it, to me, really kind of signifies, what can happen, I guess, when people come together or what have you. And, it's very interesting to see how people react to these things. Obviously, some of you are familiar with like the Helldivers 2 situation, where Sony was requiring people to log in with the PSN account, and there are some territories that aren't allowed to access PSN. So it sort of put them in a catch-22. They were very outspoken, sort of talking about it, and I guess review bombing the game pretty much nonstop over the weekend. Of course, nothing was going to change during the weekend. These people probably weren't even at work. But what's interesting is a former Xbox executive has actually spoken out about sort of this, and sort of taken shots at Xbox all the same. Like, this was the thing that I always thought was weird about this whole situation with Xbox maybe losing exclusives and stuff like that, is why not just be honest with people? I think people appreciate where they stand more than anything else. Like, if you know where you stand, then you know where you stand. It's better than always constantly guessing and stressing about things or whatever. And I get that it's just video games, but some people, if you're like me, it's a little bit more than that. If Microsoft continues doing what they're doing, it just really does feel like people aren't going to buy into the platform anymore, and that's going to be hugely unfortunate for people like me who have a ton of games and things, thousands of games. And it's not just the games, it's also the digital movies and stuff. While I do buy a lot of physical 4K Blu-rays, because you get a 4K Blu-ray, a regular Blu-ray, and you get a digital copy anyway, but I also buy a lot of movies on the Xbox platform, just through their marketplace. Hundreds of them. So it's not a cut and dry thing where you could just go, oh, okay, well, just go to PlayStation and leave Xbox alone. It doesn't really work that, listen, go back to 2013 when Microsoft was really screwing up. What happened? Like, everybody was pretty much on a united front that, Microsoft was screwing up. They really miscommunicated, and they still continue to miscommunicate. So this was interesting when I saw this, and I thought I'd do a video about it. So, as you know, Helldivers 2, a lot of people pitched a fit, cried about it all weekend. So today we hear Helldivers fans, we've heard your feedback on Helldivers 2 account linking update, the May 6th update, which would have required Steam and PlayStation Network account linking for new players and for current players beginning on May 30th will not be moving forward. We're still learning what is best for PC players, and your feedback has been invaluable. Thanks again for your continued support of Helldivers 2, and we'll keep you updated on future plans. Of course, Xbox has made its own controversial decisions in the past, in the case with the heavily botched Xbox One launch, like I talked about earlier. This time around, it's been pointed out by plenty of comments that Sony could have avoided so much negative press if this requirement had simply been communicated better ahead of time, which was interesting because Larry Herd, Major Nelson, mentioned how this used to be a mantra of his, that so many problems could have been avoided with communication. And he says, when I was at Xbox, that was one of my mantras. So again, I think that's one of the big issues with why so many people sort of care about this kind of stuff, right? Like, if you speak up, instead you have, instead of a united front, you've got half the people realistically thinking, hey, I'll replace the current Xbox YouTube guy or the current Xbox Twitter guy and get all that engagement or whatever by kissing ass. They don't realize that it's negatively affecting the Xbox brand. The console itself is degrading the console experience. And I try to tell people this. It's not a cut and dry thing where, oh no, someone else is going to play the game, so that hurts us, right? Technically, yeah, that wouldn't hurt us. But it hurts Xbox because you've got people that aren't going to buy the Xbox. You got Sony having no competition. They can charge and do whatever they want in the future. We're already on Xbox not allowed to disable crossplay on anything. Check into it. I know our Xboxes say you can, but whenever you go to try to play a game, it says you got to have it enabled. Why? Because the console side of things has such a low install base that you need PC players to help fill lobbies and things like that, and that is the unfortunate side of things. And what happens when you play against PC players? Well, they have keyboard and mouse, they have cheats, they have hacks. It really degrades the experience of, playing consoles. Like, one of the reasons why I like console gaming, and this goes back a long time, is because it was very much a policed state when you played multiplayer games, right? You didn't have to worry about people hacking, you didn't have to worry about people cheating, you didn't have to worry about any of that stuff. It was just everybody was on the same hardware, it was fair, same inputs, it was what it was, and I think like we're losing that, and it's really unfortunate to see people not realize what we're losing in the first place. It's a real shame that that's happening, because at the end of the day, Microsoft is in charge of doing all of this stuff, and they could make things much better for everybody. Honestly, they could. If they just communicated stuff, if they realistically did a better job of that. Instead, they had, they did this stupid thing with, this idea that, hey, we'll just come out and do this damage control podcast or whatever, and people will lap it up, and they won't care, et cetera, et cetera. And I feel like that, and then they kind of just blew smoke up our asses. And that's kind of the unfortunate thing, in my opinion. I hope that we get better in the future from them, because clearly, to me anyway, it doesn't seem like they're doing anything to improve the situation when there's tons of rumors going around that everything's going to go, or most things are going to go. And I think when people go everything or all games will go, I think that that's a little bit of a misnomer. Just like when people said Xbox have no games, they don't mean Xbox don't have any games literally, because obviously, it has third-party games and stuff. They meant they don't have any big first-party exclusives, which is more accurate. When people say, oh, well, all the games are going to go, they don't mean, they're going to go back and port Recore and Crackdown 3 and, Redfall and Battletoads and Bleeding Edge, those really shitty games. They're not going to port those, because shitty games don't sell anyway, regardless of where they're at. They're just going to, do the newer ones, and I think that's what, people are probably thinking about. So if people do kind of come together, and I think that the real shitstorm wouldn't happen until Microsoft announces another game going to PlayStation, right? I think that's the point where there's no return, where you would see nonstop people kind of going in on it. And I hate to say it, but I think it's either Gears or Halo that would push people to that edge, or Starfield, since Phil Spencer denied that one going anywhere. So, again, we've been lied to time and time again. We have. I just think that it's like some people just want to kiss ass because they think they're going to be the next whoever on YouTube or whatever. But, those days are long gone as far as I'm concerned. Let me know what you guys think. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.